What's up, loves, and happy Wednesday. I am so excited to be here with you all talking about one of my favorite topics, probably one of my most requested topics, so I'm really excited to touch on it. I want to talk about life as an educator in our industry, what it's like, what it's not like, some things you might know, some things you might not know. If you're thinking about becoming an educator, steps you need to take to get there, what life would be like for you. Suzette, my love, happy Wednesday, kind of all that good stuff. If you are an educator, and if you're watching this on replay or watching it live, I'd love for you to chime in and let us know what your experience has been like. But I want to share some truths based on what I've experienced and what I've heard from other educators as their truths too. I have the incredible fortune of helping and coaching some of today's biggest educators in growing their business or transitioning away from their chair and what steps to take to do that. And in talking with them, I've heard a lot about the misconceptions of educating, and I can so relate. And so I kind of want to share some of those misconceptions with you all, and just open the doors behind the scenes of what it is like for today's top educators, how they got to where they are, and how you can take those next steps if you want to, and you're going to be able to decide if that's really the right path for you. Hi, Nia, so good to see you. So let me introduce myself and we'll roll. My name is Britt, and I'm a social media and marketing strategist just for hairstylists. So my goal is to make your life as a stylist a little bit easier, a little bit more organized, help you to spend your time and money in the right places, quit wasting it in the wrong places. Hi, Tani. So you can grow your clientele the quicker, faster, easier way using today's technology. It's never been easier to grow a clientele. We just have to understand the tools at hand to do so, and I'm here to share some of those things with you today. If you like what we're talking about, as always, you can give me the Facebook thumbs up or let the hearts roll, and you can also hit the share button below and share this with any other stylists who would enjoy this as well. And as always, my favorite part is chatting with you guys. So keep the comments rolling, type in the box below what your experiences have been like. I'd love to hear from you all as far as what you think about all of this. So I kind of went back and forth about how I wanted to format this, and I decided I'm going to kind of share 6 truths with you. So some of these truths are my truths. Some of these truths are things that I've witnessed, and some of these things are true confessions from the 6-figure following Instagram superstar educators of today that they have told me personally themselves, or educators that I saw a few years back in person. One in particular, and I'll share his story, who really opened up about what life is like as a platform artist, and I think it's really awesome to be so honest about it. So I'm going to share 6 truths with you. Okay, truth number 1. Starting off is expensive. So if you want to become an educator, no matter how cool you are, or if you're already a natural teacher, or if a brand wants you, if they're like, you're amazing, we really want you to come in as an educator, you will have to open your wallet and spend some money. There's just no way around it. I know it's like being hired for a company is like they're hiring you for a job, and they are, but it's one of those things where you've got to invest in before they cut you a paycheck at all. And a lot of people are paying $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 before they even get that paycheck. So I want to just really open up that reality to what that looks like. So generally speaking, if you get hired on with a brand to educate, which we will go into brand education versus independent education too. But if you get hired with a brand to educate, there's generally a lot of training classes you need to go through. Sometimes you have to get certified. For the certifications you pay. You pay to certify yourself, and then you pay your travel expenses. So we're looking at planes, trains, automobiles, however you have to get to where you're going. There's not always a training down the street. Sometimes you have to fly across the country to get to where you need to be for your training, and that's on you. So you're going to need to pay for that. Then generally speaking, there's annual trainings that you need to attend. And it is a requirement. So you need to attend a certain amount of these annual trainings. And again, they're not always down the street. Sometimes it's in Middle America, sometimes it's on the East Coast, sometimes it's on the West Coast. It totally depends, and it's your responsibility to get to where the training is at. So you're going to need to pay to invest in that, right? If you want to go independent, whoa, it's expensive, because now you're looking at paying to market yourself and paying for your own training, and nobody's supporting you and researching your own classes. It is expensive to start. Whether you are educating with a brand, whether you are educating as an independent, you will have to foot your own bill, and it's really important that you're prepared for that. Mia says, yep, spot out. I'm an educator for a brand, and yes, we pay for most travel. Mia, thank you for being so honest about that. And it's true. Depending if you're traveling to teach or some education, they will pay for, but you will be putting money out of pocket. So there is no reality where you get hired on as a brand and as a new educator, they're footing the bill for all these things. You're going to have to pay. And it's a large investment. So just be prepared for that. It's not a free ride. It's an expensive investment. And it's like you investing in yourself. And they kind of want to see too, put your money where your mouth's at. Like, you want to educate for us? Awesome. These are the things we need to see from you to prove your commitment to our brand and our company. If we're going to educate you and provide you these tools and market for you, you need to kind of commit to the company. We're going to get to the marketing in a second. But one of the big perks of partnering with a brand is they do the marketing for you. Like, they'll schedule classes for you to a degree. We'll get to that in a second. But in exchange for that, you've got to invest in as well. So keep that in mind. Number 2, harsh reality number 2. David says they want to know you're dedicated. Absolutely. And I can't argue with that. I don't know that I would, if I was like hiring a bunch of educators, I'd want the same thing. Totally understandable. Number 2 is a harsh reality. Not everyone is cut out to teach. And that's okay. Some of the smartest people I know are some of the shittiest teachers. And that's totally fine, because it's very difficult to teach. It's very difficult to take a complex concept or even a simple concept sometimes and simplify it down into a language that those who know nothing about that concept can understand. And it's difficult to sometimes get on the level of a room full of students, right? Like, some teachers struggle with, like, if I have a room full of mixed stylists. So some are, hi Amanda, so good to see you, love. Some are advanced, some are new. How do you connect with all of those students? And really good educators can do it. It is a skill set in itself. So just because you're smart, just because you understand color formulation, hi Carrie, just because you can cut all the other stylists under the table, just because you're a retail selling machine, just because you're an amazing salon owner, and you have so much to share, it doesn't necessarily make you a good teacher. Sometimes it means you should write a book, and you should write a book that people can buy, because sometimes you're great at expressing yourself in the written word, but not a great speaker. David says teaching is a whole other skill, and speaking to different learning styles. Exactly. I couldn't agree with you more. So just because you have a lot to share, if you don't happen to be somebody who's a great teacher, there are other avenues that you can uplift the industry with. There are other ways that you can share that knowledge. But I think there is this misconception of, I am a great stylist, the next step for me is education. That is not the truth, if I can be totally honest. Educating is very hard, and those who are good at it are great at it, but don't feel like you have to graduate to that level. Sometimes your gift to the industry is the incredible blessings that you give to your guests every single day, and that's great. Sometimes your gift to the industry is that you mentor assistants, and you have a few people who come through your salon or come through your life, and you coach them so that they can one day become incredible stylists. That's a huge gift. So it doesn't mean you have to be an educator in the traditional sense, and not everyone's cut out for it, and that's okay. So know your role, and we're gonna kind of talk about dipping your toes in the pond, but if you decide you're not a good educator, it's okay. I find many educators are people who couldn't make it in the salon. It's true. A lot are. Kaylee says, yes, taking classes I wish I didn't pay for. Kaylee, I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I can't tell you how many times a year I get messages, mostly from people in my Thriver Society, who ask how they should handle it, who say they paid $400, $500, $1,000 to see Insta-famous stylists or even brand stylists, and walked away feeling ripped off. And I don't think it's because those stylists are not talented. Actually, I know that's not what it is. It just means they're sucky teachers, and that's okay. Amy says, sometimes those who can't do hair and build a full clientele teach. It's true, and sometimes it's people who really do have a lot to share with the industry and are giving us that gift. It can be a little bit of a couple of different things. Sometimes it's also people who are forced into the position of educating, which I think is happening a lot today. Like, there's this, like, you should teach, and they go, okay, I'll do it, and it's maybe not a good fit, the pressure of it. But everybody gets into education for different reasons, for sure. I think the key to being a good educator is just being a great communicator. I really don't think there's a whole lot of other secrets to it. Being a great communicator and understanding how to break things down in a way that everybody can understand. Okay, number 3, going independent is harder than ever. And I've been sharing this for about 6 months, and I just don't want to like minimize that. There was a time 18 months ago, 2 years ago, where the independent education market, even 3 years ago, was really starting. The independent education market really exploded, where a lot of brand educators were like, you know what, I kind of want to do my own thing. And through the magic of social media, they were able to put themselves out there and fill all these classes. So now we can look at like all the Goonies educators. I don't like to name drop too much, but all these educators who have built these incredible businesses and brands for themselves without being marketed or partnered with distributor companies or hair care lines or anything like that. Okay, so now we're living in a world where our industry in particular is highly saturated for independent educators, highly saturated, because of the fact that a lot of people say, I'm really good at hair, I have a skill to share, I should be a teacher. And it's not to say that that's not true. It has just been harder than ever to break into that market. And you just need to know that, because if you're beating your head against the wall saying, I'm trying to get myself out there, I'm trying to fill seats, I'm trying to get people to come in and see me, I'm amazing, people should be wanting to see what I have to share, they should. The problem is there's so much noise that it's difficult for you to break in. It's not to say that you can't, and we're going to get to that in a second, but it is harder than ever. And I just don't want to minimize that, because it shouldn't be step one. It should be like step 15 down your line. Danielle says, I've liked independent classes much more than brand classes so far. It's interesting, and I think both really belong in the industry. Suzette says, many of the top independent educators are now working for brands, love the continuing evolution. So that's the neat thing is that now, instead of the brands, so the way that they're working with brands has really changed. Let's talk about that too. But I agree with Danielle where she says she likes independent education. The neat thing about independent education is there's often no sales pitch, right? They're not affiliated necessarily with any specific brand. They're just coaching to their beliefs, which I think is so beautiful and so cool, because it's not like, okay, here are the things we would like you to cover. Please give us a detailed list of what you'll be teaching, and we'll submit that, and we will promote you around the country based on this class format. No, now you can just sell whatever you want, teach whatever you want, teach your truth, and I think that's really cool. That being said, when you're learning somebody's truth, there's no like satisfaction guarantee behind it. Whereas if somebody's working for a brand, they have to hit all the marks. Like if you're going to educate for us, you need to do this, this, and this. So it's a gamble, right? If you get a great independent educator, man, the quality they're going to provide could beat out somebody who's with a brand. But somebody with a brand comes to some degree, take it with a grain of salt, of a little bit more of a satisfaction guarantee because of the way they've been trained, because of the standard they're taught. And you just kind of know what you're getting a little bit more. There's less of a risk, right? I don't hear so many complaints about educators who are partnered with brands. Most of the complaints I hear are about independent education. What's life without risk? Amen, Jennifer. You're speaking to my heart. That's exactly true. So just realize that cracking into independent education is tough. And we're going to get into this in just a second too. And Suzette said, now we're seeing a lot of independent educators contract with brands. So the interesting thing is now the tables have turned. So for many years, if you wanted to educate, you kind of had to like work your way up and get in with a brand to be like, hi, my name is Britt and I'd really love to work with you. And then they would decide if you're worth it. And then they'd hire you and train you up the way they wanted to. Now brands are like, holy shit, these independent educators are kind of amazing and their influence is really powerful. How can we truly partner with them to bring our brand up, put ourselves out there, and help to support the stylists as well? And that's been really cool, because I'm going to get into, in a second, some of the realities of being, let's get into it now, being an educator. I think there is this misconception that educators make bank. Oftentimes they don't. It's not something that you do because you want to make a ton of money. It's something that you do because you're really passionate about it, and we will get to this at the end as well. But I think there's this idea of, I'm going to do this and this is going to be my way to make millions, and it's not. That's just so not the truth. So to see this like symbiotic relationship where brands are partnering with stylists saying, let's work together, how can I help you? That's really cool. And I agree, Suzette, that evolution is really powerful and really, really neat. Okay, so number 4, marketing yourself is really hard. And marketing as yourself is actually something that you need to do, whether you're independent now or whether you're with a brand. And I saw my love Shannon Van Fleet hop on here. I don't know if she's still on here. And Shannon, don't share any of our secrets. But one of the things we talked about, Shannon is an educator with Redken. And one of the things that she and I were talking about was like how to differentiate herself as a brand educator, right? So Redken's taken really great care of her. They are so lucky to have her. She's amazing. But she's like, I love Shannon because she really wants to make it. She's not just going to sit around and wait for Redken to push her out there. She's like, how do I get more people to be requesting me? How do I get, like, Shannon's here, woo woo. How do I get more people requesting me? How do I get more people to sign up for my classes? I want to make it. Like, she's got that hustle vibe where she's just going to do it. And we created amazing ideas that she funded herself, but as ways for her to grow with Redken as quickly as possible, and ways to get other salons requesting her to come in as an educator as quickly as possible. That's the reality today. You're in a noisy market, whether you are with a company or you're independent, it's noisy. And yes, if you're partnered with a company, they will assign you to classes as they do come up. But if you want to grow quickly, if you want to be working in the salons you want to be working in, you need to foot it a little bit and you need to put yourself out there, and there are creative ways to do it. But like anything else, those who are succeeding in education today are those who are going to promote themselves and not sit around waiting for somebody to hand it to them. It's really, really important that you're able to work and hustle, super important. So anybody who's independent education will say it is difficult to market yourself. And a lot of independent educators are doing where you sell tickets to a certain venue, right? Such and such salon is hosting me. Tickets are $400. Buy them on my website. Cool. So what if you sell out that salon? Amazing. What if you only sell six tickets and you needed to sell 25? You still got to go, right? Because you sold 6 seats, but oftentimes you're going to lose money on that trip. It's not even going to pay for your flights, your hotel, your food, your supplies. You might be a break even. So the conception of, oh my gosh, I'm paying $400 a ticket and everybody else is too, this person must be making bank, not always true. So just realize marketing yourself and putting yourself out there and selling those tickets and filling those seats and doing all of those things is tough. And you really have to go into it with a marketing strategy to become successful in it. So just realize that whether you are branded or whether you're independent, there is a lot of marketing involved. You have to do it really effectively and efficiently if you're going to fill those seats and if you're going to get people to come in and see you. Okay, number 5, I truly believe today in 2017, the smartest thing that you can do if you want to get into education is partner with a brand today. Even if down the line you want to go independent, the independent education game is evolving very quickly right now, and it's hard to know where it's going to go. But get your training now and get your feet wet now. Most of today's independent educators started with a company. Give me a name. They started with a company. They didn't just say, I think I'm going to teach tomorrow, and they woke up and started teaching. That's not how it works. Most people were trained by these incredible brands who offer impeccable education. Like, I can't even stress enough the kind of education I see coming out of hair care brands, hair color brands. It's phenomenal. The way they teach you to public speak, to find your inner confidence, to find your voice, to be more knowledgeable about what you're speaking about. It's really, really powerful. Try it. Do it for 2 years. Do you like getting on airplanes? Do you like staying in hotels? Do you like staying up on education? Do you like getting up and speaking in front of people and being an entertainer for 8 hours a day? Because it's not for everybody. It's a really great way to get your feet wet before you spend hours and hours and days and years and thousands of dollars trying to market yourself as an independent only to find you hate it or it's harder than you thought it was going to be. Get the education now. Shannon says we got great facilitation training. Man, Redken does it right, don't they? I mean, unlike anything I've ever seen before. Amazing. Amazing, amazing. See if you like it. Get some experience. Make some connections. Put yourself out there and get some freaking training. Because if you sell tickets at $100 a piece to teach a class and it's awful, it's really difficult to rebuild that reputation because our industry is really small and that word gets out there really, really fast. So it's important. Emily says, hi, Emily. She says, I'm an educator and the facilitation skills I've learned are priceless and I use them when talking behind the chair as well. Emily, so true. It's like life skills, right? Like if you want to be a great stylist, partner with a brand as an educator because you will learn so much. I could not agree with you more. And tip number 6, where I bring it all back around, there is nothing you will do in this industry that is more fulfilling than being an educator. Nothing. To know that you can, the words you express, or the 4 hours you spend with somebody, or the 2 hours you spend with somebody, or the quick tip that you share is going to help shape and mold somebody's career is so powerful. I can remember things I learned from educators I saw 8 years ago that I will never forget, that had such a huge impact on my life. And you have no idea how huge your impact can truly be as an educator. Even if you only ever teach 20 classes times 10 people, you could affect 200 stylists in the way they build their career. That is so powerful. And the feeling you'll have if you like teaching, if you don't like teaching, you won't have all these feels. But if you like teaching, the feeling you'll have walking out of that room being like, damn, I really made a difference today, it's priceless. It's really, really powerful. It's very, very filling to the soul. It's not just hopping behind the chair and doing your guests, which is also really powerful. I don't want to minimize that at all, but it will feel really amazing. It's and talking to some very big name educators who are independent, who are now kind of shifting and deciding where their next step is going to be, They all say, I don't do this for the money. I do it for the impact that I'm making and the people that I meet. So just know that your heart and soul needs to be doing it for that, because that's the way that it fills you up. And that's why I share that if getting up in front of a room and talking like this for 8 hours doesn't sound like it would fill your soul, don't do it. Hire one person and mentor them and let the gifts that you give them shape their entire career. That's priceless. Being an educator, write a book. Being an educator doesn't mean that you travel the country or that you partner with a brand. It just means that you're sharing your knowledge, even if it's just with one person. So really find what is true for you and explore that all the way through. And do what makes you happy as an educator. And in this industry, you don't have to be an educator to be impactful, but if you are going to be an educator, just understand what it really looks like and what it really means, and research it all the way through. I hope that this has helped to answer some of your questions. If you have any more, you can leave them in the comments below. So much love. Happy Wednesday, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.